What's up? So we here again, HQ meet and greet sessions today with the life legend, Dr.Dina. So stoked to have you here as our special guest. Today's Sunday. We are on off Spanibus. That was a tough week, huh? Yeah. So first of all, thank you again for coming and sharing your experience with our followers. And let's start with your roots. Can you just please explain us where you're coming from, your family,
Absolutely.
Yeah? Thank you.
Well, I'm from Los Angeles, from Southern California, and I grew up in a nice little conservative neighborhood where you were taught that any kind of drugs, including cannabis, was something that would cause brain damage and despair and a downward spiral of your entire life, and you'll never be anything, never achieve and accomplish anything. That's it. And so it was not something that ever tempted me. I was not really interested in that world. And then one day, and this is probably on your list of questions, as it's a list on everyone's question for me, but I was at my friend's house one day, and my friend's father is a criminal attorney, and this man came out of the office on their property, and he asked, "Where can we smoke?" And I assumed he meant a cigarette or a cigar. I was 15. And I walked him out behind the tennis court. They had a beautiful house. And we were hiding behind the tennis court and these big trees that protected us. And he lit up what I thought was a cigar. And Suge Knight was there as well. And they started passing it to each other. And that's when I thought, something's wrong. This is not a cigar, because in the TV shows, like The Love Boat, they don't pass the cigar. The one guy holds it, right? So, is this marijuana? It smelled funny, and I started to think, oh my gosh, all my training in school, this is very bad. And so he saw the worry in my face, and he said, "Here, I want you to smoke this." And that's what he did. He forced me to smoke it, so I didn't tell him to the lawyer. And I tried it for the first time with Snoop Dogg, and I was 15. And so we laugh about that now, because years later, I opened up the very first doctor's office in Southern California to specialize in medical cannabis, just, recommendations, because that was something that was not available at the time. The law had already been passed, but no one knew how to handle it. And so what we've learned over the years is that it was quite simple, but most doctors were afraid to write the letter. They thought that they would lose their license. Yeah. And we were able to convince we found this one doctor that wasn't worried, and so I hired him, and he came to Los Angeles a couple days a week, and he worked out of my office, and we became very popular. And that's when I got Snoop Dogg his very first letter of recommendation. I called him up and I said, "Dog, you're not going to believe what I'm going to do." And he said, "What are you going to do?" And I said, "I'm going to make it legal for you to smoke cannabis." And he said, "What are you talking about?" Because if you live in the United States, I don't know what the media is like out here, but back in the day, every time you'd watch the news, it was like Snoop Dogg's getting arrested for marijuana. It was like almost a joke. And so I gave him that. I helped him get this letter, and with that, he never had a problem again. And it's actually helped him in other countries, supposedly. And it's fascinating to see how people didn't understand it, but they were willing to accept that a doctor wrote this letter, even if it was outside of California. Because it was not really official. It was just, we had the text, the words that we were told should be written on a doctor's letter. And we did that. And it worked. And so everybody just copied that next doctor's letter and going forward. And it was really fascinating. And from there, everyone would come to my doctor's office. Now, mind you, I thought maybe I'd get like 15 people a week coming into my office, like 2-3 days a week, 5 patients a day. I was like, that's good, right? It was like 75 patients a day, 100 patients a day, 200 patients a day. I'm going, what's going on? And everyone would say, where do we go get our cannabis? And at the time, I'm like, I need to open a dispensary. My friend Jason, who I brought with me, my partner Jason, he had already opened up a shop. And so I was sending all my patients to him. And then when I opened, I started sending them all to me. And that's why a lot of our patients have known us since day one, because they got their doctor's note from me. Well, not from me, but I worked in the office because I hired a doctor. I'm not a real doctor. It's just a nickname that Snoop Dogg gave me that day when I got him his very first doctor's note. And that's pretty cool. So I became DrDina. And after we ran our dispensaries, we opened up multiple. We had multiple problems with the DEA fighting the government. And we're still standing, thank goodness. And now the state has gone legal for adult use. We have 21 and over, anyone 21 and over with the passport, ID, doesn't matter. As long as it's official government ID, they can just come into our dispensary and buy cannabis, which is crazy. You don't have to go to the doctor anymore. You will pay a higher price. There's a tax on that. If you're a patient, you pay a lower price, which is fair. But yeah, it's wonderful for adult use people. It's still, for the patient, it's not as fun as it used to be. And we can't quite give away the compassionate donations that we used to be able to do. It made me very sad last week. I had a homeless man came in, and he was struggling, and you can tell he was mentally ill, and he was reaching his hands in his pockets that had holes in them, and nothing would even be in his pockets because they're just completely see-through with holes. And I normally would just give him weed, right? Give him a joint, give him some weed. The guy needs something, I can't do it. So I have to go to the counter, I have to go break out, I have to go pay for it, and it's a whole procedure now. But I know the state's not coming for me anymore. Not that they were before, but it's a less pressure, knowing that the DEA most likely won't come after us because we're following the guidelines of the law, which is still teeter-tottering on the same thing we were doing before. But it's a little more official, very regulated. Now that it's gone more regulated, we have several licenses. So we work with, we do cultivation, manufacturing, distribution, retail, and delivery, and the lounges. There's a very large spread of what we can do in California. But in the beginning, I didn't want to start off. Everybody keeps asking me, why aren't you doing the DrDina brand of weed? You have the facility, you have the distribution, you have the licensing for everything. And my first thought was, there's no rush for me to do that. I could always do that. What I want to do now is help all my brothers and sisters in the movement who were not able to get a license that had a brand before legalization. Like all those growers you have now, when you go legal, maybe only like 3% or something, 3% will ever get their license. And it's like the rest are gone. But if you're able to have them move into your facility and grow, right, and you can somehow work together, at least it's not the same for them, right? But at least they're in the game. So I'm trying to do that for right now. It's, to me, kind of close to my heart to keep the old school people still in the game, because we can't forget those people. That's who brought us to where we are now. Yeah. And then I have a nonprofit, which is freedomgrow.org. And I want to actually start bringing it international, because although I know the punishment doesn't seem quite as stiff here for cannabis as it seems to be in some states in the United States. There's a lot of people spending life in prison for having just a little bit of cannabis. Well, even in the U.S. has a lot of people. So Russia, exactly. Well, I have Russian blood in me, so but basically what we do is we find those people that are in jail for cannabis crimes that are nonviolent. There's no victims. It's just because of cannabis. And we raise money from different cannabis companies, and we sell drinks at different events. Like we would come here and we would set up a booth and sell hot chocolate for one night and raise money to give to all the prisoners, and we put it on their commissary, on their books, so they can call their family, they can buy some clothes, they can buy some food, because a lot of it is slave labor. It's like it pays for the government to put stoners in prison for life because they have to work. So they get free labor, right? And they know that people who smoke weed are not like suffering from mental illness, like the damage that some other drugs like crystal meth or cocaine might have done damage to your brain. Okay. They want people that just want to work and go home at the end of the day. You know what I mean? And so stoners actually make the best prisoners, which is the saddest thing ever to say, but it's true. And that's really, I mean, why else would these people be sitting in jail? Exactly.
Wow, that's sad.
Yeah.
That's sad.
Yeah, exactly.
All right, thank you. That was like, it's not a lot. You just answered like on 3 or 4 of my questions already without asking them. That's crazy. Thank you.
You can just chit chat all night.
Yeah. All right. Are you a grower by yourself? Do you grow?
So, I am not an expert grower by any means whatsoever. I have grown. I find it fascinating. I found myself almost like obsessed to the point where I couldn't leave. I don't want to leave the babies because I was like wanting to be with them every second. So it's not a healthy relationship for me. It's better that I let experts do this because I get emotionally attached to them, which sounds bizarre, but it's amazing. So I did grow for about 2 years. Some really great OG. So I am proud of myself. I didn't find it to be that difficult. As long as you follow the instructions of some really good friends, which I have. And that was that.
Yeah, that's good. All right, I respect that. So okay, not growing, just having a cannabis business. Was it hard for you to delegate when you have to delegate something to other people? I'm asking it's a personal question because sometimes I feel it like I don't know how to do it properly because how do you feel about that?
I think that's just business technique and business practices. I have some of my partners have the same problem, and that just means the same. It means that you are very similar in the regard that you like to micromanage and you want to do everything yourself, so you have a hard time letting go. Yeah. I have the same way a little bit, but you have to learn to the more people you could find to fill that role, the more the machine can roll without you. You can then expand to other machines.
All right. I respect that. Maybe just it's more easy for women. Well, I don't know, but for us, it's kind of crazy. The next question is about the modern role of women in cannabis industry, because I see it more and more, and I really like it. I think it's cool. But still people think that maybe a woman is a grower. I don't know. What do you think about this?
First of all, I've had a dispensary for over 17 years, okay?
That's a flag.
I can't even count the amount of growers I've met in my life. I mean, holy shit, in 17 years, just all these people coming every day, because it used to be like this. Like anyone can come and just try to sell me cannabis, that as long as they had a doctor's note, they can come in and they can sell me. It's great. Or I go up north to Northern California and I pick out what I want and I bring it back. I wasn't always respected in the regard of when I would negotiate a price and a normal person would probably negotiate a price if you're buying a large quantity, right? They would turn to me and say, "Where's your husband?" And I would say, first of all, but I will say that it's funny. There was a dispensary when I first started my doctor's office. I opened up inside of another dispensary, and that owner just recently told me, and he hasn't been in the business, but when I first came in, he said that she was just a girl, like there was no threat, and so he felt it was just interesting how I was never seen as like a threat, and then all of a sudden when I opened up my own shop, it was like he couldn't take it. He couldn't handle it. It was like, how can she do that? How could a girl do this? Like being beat by a girl was so personal. And I think that's something that like people have, like maybe guys have an issue with a little bit of like, they don't want to get beat by a girl, but it's not about that. It's about, hey guys, because all my best friends are men for the most part. So it's like, let me help represent the group. Like we're all part of the same crew, right? Let me help represent it in the public and show like, look at the softer side. Look at me? Do I look like I'm a marijuana queen? But hey, don't judge. That's a very important thing. I don't think you have to always be screaming like with weed leaves all over you and jewelry, you know what I mean? With like bam, but you have to represent the plant, and for me it was more about that. But it's definitely been interesting being a woman in the industry. Now that I've inspired all these other women, I think that we're going to be able to like take over. Sorry, with the guys, be equal. Like that's all. We're not taking over, but be equal.
Yeah, I respect that also. I have few managers here in HQ, and half of them are girls, and I love this fact. It's super cool. Girls power. I always believed in that. How many times you've been asked about if you're a prototype of Wheat's main character?
Well, in the beginning, I've probably like 5,000 times, but I found out the show is based off me actually after I saw a billboard outside my shop with a picture that looked like me, and it said weeds, and it was April 1st, which is April Fool's Day.
So you thought it was your friend.
So I called Snoop Dogg and I said, "Did you make a billboard with me with marijuana leaves like for April Fools? What are you thinking? This is crazy." And he goes, "What are you talking about? That's a show." So I watched it, and something about the show, I was like, whoa. This is too much like my life. So I watched the credits, the names at the end, and I wrote them down. And I went back to my club, and I went to the computer, the check-in, and I typed all the names in, and boom, they were all there. And I'm like, I know that person. They asked me a bunch of questions. I answered. Oh, my God. They stole my story. I mean, there's so much in there that's very similar. A lot that's not true. I don't sleep with every guy I meet, and I don't. It's true. That's the one thing I'm like, I would never sleep with a DEA agent.
Oh, yeah. That's a good one. Tell us about the Netflix series Disjointed.
That was a really fun show that I was the cannabis consultant on for Disjointed, and that was with Kathy Bates. It's by also the creator of 2.5 Men and Big Bang Theory. So it's, a very funny show. And it takes place in a dispensary. It's not a real dispensary. It's on a TV set, a movie set. But we built it to make it look exactly like a dispensary. And so that was part of my job, was making sure, it's like if they filmed a movie here, they would say, "David, if I want to make a social club, in Spain, what is it going to look like?" And you would have to work with the designers and say, no, I wouldn't have floors like that. It would be, the art or whatever. Yeah, exactly. You'd bring the same art in and make it look like your place, right? So there you go. Yeah, it was really fun.
All right, cool. You remember when we were in the same panel on International Cannabis Conference, and you told me about the project you have about the restaurant with the lounge? Can you tell us about this thing because we're like really interested. It's interesting project, you know, because for example here in Spain you can have both things on the same spot, because if not you violate laws against smoking. So the basic thing is like where you can eat, like restaurants, you can't smoke. You know? So this is the basic law. And here, if you put the kitchen in the cannabis club, so any restaurant can claim this. You know. What do you think about this? How are you gonna do it? It's just share with us these things.
So this is kind of like running a marathon that you never practiced for, and they're about to like shoot the gun, and everybody says go, and no one knows what the fuck is happening. Okay.
The day I opened the club.
Yeah, like you know, so you know exactly what I'm talking about. So we know that I did not get a license for edible consumption. So there's two types of consumption lounges. There's lounges where I can serve you medicated food, and you cannot smoke. Which to me, it's like, that's lame. Okay. And then there's the smoking lounge, but you can't consume medicated food. You can't infuse the food in the kitchen. It's a license to infuse in the kitchen. So what we did, we have the smoking lounge license, and we are allowed to serve food. Regular food. We cannot serve infused food. So we can only serve you regular food, which technically makes you a restaurant. And we're not under the health, like the restaurant code or anything. Like, we float underneath. It's bizarre.
It is.
It's bizarre. So, but how I actually got the idea was a couple years ago. I visited San Sebastian, and I went to Strain Hunters. Have you been to the old Strain Hunters before they closed? I know, but you went there, right?
No.
Oh.
I didn't have one. Yeah.
Very similar kind of, you know, but they had a restaurant in there, and you.
That was a problem. One of the problems.
Well,
I mean,
I didn't know it was a problem, but for us it was different. It's different, but when I saw that, I went, "Oh my God, that's what I need to do."
I'd love to have a restaurant with a lounge.
So maybe we have to bring you guys to the U.S. and collab.
Let's make a collab.
You know what I mean? But yeah, so we can serve you food. For example, if you want French fries, right, or you know, potatoes, you can get them regular, no, not medicated, but we can bring you the sauce, like a packet that
you put it on yourself.
That our manufacturing company has already made, like ketchup that's medicated through another company that the dispensary bought, that you have to then go buy from the dispensary. So there's going to be, imagine a place like this, and there'll be a window, and the dispensary is on the other side, but you can buy stuff at the window from the dispensary. So the lounge can't sell cannabis in certain cities. Only certain cities will allow you to sell. One city will allow you to purchase the cannabis, like here, that's just for use like today, not for tomorrow. Like, you're not supposed to leave with it, you know? But other cities are like,
all right.
Yeah.
All right, thanks. You've been talking about how things changed since in Cali you have legalized cannabis, and a lot of people lost their license or didn't get them. Sorry for those. And a lot of things happened, right? What about this, you know, like cannabis user stigma? Did it change? Have it changed? You know, like right now, do the like typical guy that smokes, now it's not just guy, you know, it's maybe woman, maybe somebody is like senior, maybe, I don't know. This is what I love about the club, especially, you know, when I see so different people on the same table. What do you think about that?
So this is actually the about the same type of like generational grouping that I would say would be normally at our dispensary when it was medical. It was the people that were savvy enough to go online and find a doctor's note find a doctor that does it and go to the doctor and then find a dispensary. And it was because we were more underground. But now it's so totally normal. Literally, every billboard that you see on the street is a cannabis company billboard.
Right now?
In California, it's almost like you went to an alternate reality, like you're living in like some cartoon world. Like what's happening? Every dispensary, boom, arrow, cannabis, California. Try the brass knuckle vape carts. This one, like it's like do this. Team Elite Genetics and OG Collective and Oz. Just all these crazy. It's insane. It's insane. Some corners I'll see like 4 or 5 billboards competing, and they're all cannabis companies. Times have changed. So with that brings normalization and means that everyone else is kind of like moms and dads and aunts and cousins and sister-in-laws, and everyone seems like totally hip to it. They want the vape pen. They all think like the vape pen was a great way to win people back over. It's not smoke. It's like get them to use it. It's medicine. It's helping. And then you have the children that are being raised now, where the future of the generation of the world of the United States or California, let's per se, it's legal. It's not even a big deal anymore. It's like going to a bar to get your weed. It's a smoke. It's fine. It's not like here though. Europe has more of a tobacco kind of like in U.S. smoking cigarettes is like such a no-no. Like you're just like ugh. Or if I were to light a cigarette on the street in California, at least 5 people would make a comment to me. Like, oh, you shouldn't smoke that, or that's bad for you, or oh, that's going to cause wrinkles, or like just some comment.
What if you smoke a joint?
1 out of 5 people would have a problem with it. Other than that, maybe
Smell, right?
no. If anything, rarely does people. If you're being respectful, but you're not allowed to smoke it on the street.
Yeah.
You gotta but you know what I mean.
Yeah.
Exactly. No one really cares. I mean, we smoke on the street all the time.
No, I agree. What we're trying to do is to break the stereotype of cannabis user, so people would understand that we're not better or worse. We just have same rights that tobacco users have or alcohol users have. So on the top on that, we don't cause so many problems. In 5 years, HQ is open for 5 years. We didn't have one beef. No one hit another person here in the club. 5 years. So when people say, no, I can't believe it, I'm like, yeah, believe me, it's just like that, because it's just...
Lose your membership.
Yeah, and then, people smoke, they're cool. I mean, like, when people drink alcohol, they change a lot in this way, like... Yeah, but just beer. Yeah. We have maybe some wine, but rarely someone has... We do really believe that the unique alcohol that is going like kind of with weed is beer, and here in Spain, it's hot. Me, for example, I don't drink a lot of beer now, but yeah, I mean in summertime, just yeah. Thanks again. Yeah, I'm humbled to have you here with all our members, sharing all these clear ideas and your experience, pioneer experience. Hey, that's the girl who you smoked first time she smoked with Snoop Dogg. That's it. That's what's up. I mean, that's what's up. What can I say? This girl, she sees the weeds billboard. The first thing she does, boom, she's calling Snoop Dogg. Yeah, that's a good one. I like it. Can you tell any message to our members before we have a sesh?
Absolutely. Well, did you ever see the most expensivest shit? Because I got 2 Chainz really high with like that giant pipe. 2 Chainz, yeah.
The pipe, the mask,
Oh,
right?
you saw the second episode.
The mask with the...
Yeah. So I got him high there.
All right.
But the first episode, I had a giant pipe that was epic.
Like a
Oh,
blaster?
It was a custom like bowl
right.
spoon pipe. It was excellent. Go check it out. DrDina420.com. That's right. And also check out freedomgrow.org. Help out some people in jail, and maybe we can find some people that out here that need some help that we can put money on their books and try to change some laws, because the more awareness, the better. And I really believe that Instagram and Facebook is responsible for the legalization and a lot of the movement that's going on, because the networking, the power of the growth power of the people, and the fact that you can put a call of action out so quickly and boom.
I just imagine if one day Mark Zuckerberg just puts the Facebook just in green color. Imagine that for 1 week. Yeah, that's it. That's a good one, huh, Mark? Go. All right. Thanks again. HQ Meet and Greet. DrDina here. Huge thanks to you, to your family. It's a nice thing, having you here. Welcome to HQ Farm, and you're always more than welcome here. Thank you.
Thank you so much for having me. You guys are awesome. Thank you, HQ. David, you rock.
Ciao.